Truth is, I am Iron Man.
From a cave to the cosmos, Tony Stark has had a lot of different Iron Man armors in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. From the iconic to the outright gigantic, this is every Iron Man armor in the MCU. The Mark 1 armor was where it all began, with the help of Ho Yinsen. Tony was able to build the original suit in a cave from little more than scrap metal and machine parts. The bulky and unpainted design of the suit is reminiscent of the original Iron Man armor from the comics, which he actually used for quite a long time, but the movie's version didn't last anywhere near as long and was soon scattered across the desert sand, only later to be obtained by Obadiah Stane and become the basis of the Ironmonger suit. Once back on American soil, Tony set about work on the Mark II, and the basis of the iconic Iron Man design first appears. However, this suit doesn't last long either, as a high-altitude test flight revealed an icing problem. However, just like the Mark I, this suit was also stolen.
Get out.
Although technically absconded with by longtime friend James Rhodes in Iron Man 2, where it becomes the basis for the trademark Silver War Machine armor. Now we have the Mark III, and the first time we get those iconic Iron Man colors.
Tell you what, throw a little hot rod red in there.
Yes, that should help you keep a low profile.
This suit fixed the icing problem of the Mark II by using a gold titanium alloy, including a series of miniaturized weapons, and became the first suit to use the palm repulsors as a weapon. This was the armor used throughout the rest of the first movie, but following the fight with the Ironmonger, it was beyond repair. The Mark IV was built as a direct replacement for the Mark III and is notably very similar, but don't think the genius billionaire playboy philanthropist had run out of ideas, as while working on this, he was also in tandem creating the Mark V. This was the first suit designed with portability in mind. It was lighter than any of the previous suits and was even able to fold in onto itself to take the appearance of an unassuming briefcase. Although this portability came at a cost. The Mark V lacked many of the weapons found in the earlier and later suits, and its thin miniature plates made it less effective at blocking incoming attacks. Next, we have the Mark VI. This was the first suit built to work with the new arc reactor, making it stronger than any of the ones that came before. Interestingly, this is also the first armors to be repaired after a fight rather than just being decommissioned, as although it was heavily damaged in Iron Man 2, we can see it back in action at the start of the Avengers.
Make your moves, Reindeer Games.
Later in the film, this armor is enough to hold up against the might of Thor. However, it was later badly damaged when restarting the helicarrier's turbines, and Tony switched to the Mark VII for the final showdown with Loki's army. Mark VII. This suit was another big step up for the Iron Man, offering automatic deployment and assembly, faster flight, as well as new and upgraded weapons. However, it still had its limits, and pushing a nuke through a portal into space was enough to cause the systems to shut down.
What just happened? Please tell me nobody kissed me.
After some repairs, the Mark VII remained Tony's default armor for quite some time while he worked on the Iron Legion of suits. The Iron Legion, Mark 8 to 41. After the Battle of New York, Tony began to rapidly develop new Iron Man suits, and over the coming months, he built 33 sets of armor, all with their own unique features and specialities, which appeared in the final battle of Iron Man 3 as part of the House Party Protocol.
Jarvis, target extremis heat signatures disable with extreme prejudice.
Yes. The Mark 8 to 14 all improved on the weaponry of the previous suits, and some also included enhanced flight or armor capabilities. The Mark 15 was the first suit to focus on stealth, using technology from stealth aircraft and anti-radar devices. It was able to avoid detection from most radar systems. Improvements were made with the Mark 16, which was built to be even harder to detect and more lightweight. Mark 17 was codenamed the Heartbreaker and focused on the repulsor tech, using its oversized chest core to fire larger or more concentrated blasts and even generate a shield.
Good evening, Colonel. Can I give you a lift?
Very funny.
The Mark 18 combined the tech from the previous designs, making it almost entirely undetectable and able to fire repulsor blasts. After this, Tony changed his focus to improve flight, and the Mark 19, codenamed Tiger, was able to travel so fast it could create a sonic boom. The Mark 20 focused on distance rather than speed and was able to travel further than any previous suit. The Mark 21 was once again all about speed, however, it was also prone to falling apart as it broke the sound barrier. The Mark 22 was actually built as a prototype for Rhodey to be an update to the War Machine armor, however, still remained quite basic. Mark 23 was one of the first suits to be built that had almost no focus on combat, only offering basic repulsor systems. Instead, it was designed to withstand incredible levels of heat with multiple layers of heat-resistant plating. The Mark 24 was codenamed Tank, and just like its namesake, it was designed to both withstand huge amounts of damage and dish it back out. Mobility was not its strongest attribute. The Mark 25 had its options in combat, but was built more for heavy construction and contained 2 jackhammers on its arms. The Mark 26 was almost identical to the 25, but offered more protection from things like gamma radiation, funnily enough, in case you wanted to, I don't know, Hulk out. Yes! Mark 27, codenamed Disco, has one of the more in-your-face color schemes, but interestingly also offered some of the best camouflage as it was able to mimic like a chameleon. The Mark 28, codenamed Jack, was built to withstand high levels of radiation but lacked most other features. Mark 29 was another construction-based suit, but unlike the Mark 25 and 26, it had one arm free, allowing it to move around a site much easier and perform other tasks. The Mark 30 was codenamed Blue Steel and was able to go for extended durations without needing to recharge. It also had hidden blades in its arms. Codenamed the Piston, the Mark 31 combined the earlier supersonic flight capabilities with the Mark 30's long charge duration. The Mark 32 was named Romeo, as a reference to its enhanced and oversized chest repulsor. The Mark 33 was one of the few suits Tony was able to use and included a number of features from earlier suits, including the hidden arm blade. Mark 34 and 35 were built to withstand natural disasters and aid in rescuing people. Codenamed Peacekeeper, the Mark 36 was designed to quell riots and handle crowd control. Mark 37 had a new focus, this time underwater operation and travel. It was able to withstand huge amounts of pressure. The Mark 38 was all about brute strength and was the first suit to resemble what would later become the Hulkbuster Armor. However, this suit had a minimal focus on combat and was instead designed to handle heavy lifting. With the Mark 39, Tony turns his sights to the stars. This was designed to handle suborbital space travel. The Mark 40 was a direct upgrade on the Mark 22 and was able to handle the hypersonic flight without falling apart. Finally, the Mark 41 was built to be super lightweight and maneuverable, and it offered freedom of movement. This first Iron Legion of suits were all destroyed either in the Battle of Iron Man 3 or by the Clean Slate Protocol activated by Tony in the wake of the fight.
The Clean Slate Protocol, sir?
Screwed, it's Christmas. Yes. Yes.
The name Iron Legion for the group of suits came directly from the comics. In that version, War Machine brought together a team of individuals, including Happy Hogan, to defeat Ultimo by each using an Iron Man suit. The movie subtly references this when Tony says that all the armors in this Iron Legion are coded so that only he would be able to use them.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Give me a suit, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry, they're only coded to me. What does that mean? I got you covered.
Inspired by his success in Iron Man 3, Tony made a new set of unwearable suits to replace the Iron Legion, who were controlled by Jarvis, and assisted the Avengers between the events of Iron Man 3 and the start of Age of Ultron, where we first see them in action. The Mark 42 was the suit Tony uses most in Iron Man 3. Now, it built upon lots of the work he had done previously designing the Iron Legion, but the most important feature was that Tony could summon and command the armor with the simple hand gestures and even thought. This was the armor he used to save Pepper, and then she used in turn to save him. However, it never made its way out of the prototype stage and was destroyed whilst dealing the killing blow to Aldrich Killian. It does appear that Tony rebuilt the armor, as we can see it in Spider-Man Homecoming being transferred from the Avengers Tower to the new facility. The Mark 43 only offered some minor upgrades from the Mark 42 and is visually very similar. This suit was used by Tony throughout most of Age of Ultron, however was retired before the final battle. The Mark 44, better known as the Hulkbuster Armor, was designed with one purpose in mind: restraining a rampaging Hulk. Parts of the suit were deployed by Veronica, a mobile unit that would be deployed with the suit and provide replacement limbs in case the Hulk ripped one off. This colossal suit was powered by at least 11 arc reactors and was equipped with a grappling hook, missiles, chemical spray, extended punches, and enough strength to knock out one of the Hulk's teeth.
I'm sorry.
The Mark 45 was the suit Tony used in the final battle of Age of Ultron, and the first to use Friday as its AI rather than Jarvis, who is now busy walking around and I guess calling himself the Vision. I don't know, it's a weird mix, but I guess, it'd be weird to see both of them together. This suit is the culmination of a lot of Tony's earlier work. Its weaponry is enhanced and it brings together a lot of other features into one single package. The Mark 46 was the suit used in Civil War. This was another step up from the Mark 45 and offered small improvements across the board. Interestingly, it also borrows from the Hulkbuster and contains multiple arc reactors to power different parts of the suit, giving it even greater levels of strength. During the course of Civil War, this suit takes some serious damage, much of which was dealt at the hands of the pair of super soldiers. However, inside the armor, Tony is fairly undamaged outside of a few scrapes and a black eye. We also see some new gadgets like the EMP projectiles and powered clamps. The Mark 47 appears as Tony's suit in Spider-Man Homecoming. Its capabilities seem to be the same as most previous suits, and physically, it's identical to the Mark 46, outside of its paint job, which is inspired by Ultimate Universe Iron Tech armor. The Mark 48 and 49 are not directly referenced anywhere. However, we can assume the new Hulkbuster armor seen in Avengers Infinity War was one of them, and it's likely the other was the prototype for the Mark 50. The Mark 50 is a big step up for Tony, which is why I suspect one of the previous two versions was only a prototype. It's the first suit to utilize nanotech, both as a means of quickly donning the suit and for further use in combat. The nanites are able to reposition themselves into different gadgetry like shields, cannons, hammers, and blades. The suit was at the height of Tony Stark's abilities and was stronger, more durable, and faster than any of his previous main suits. However, it still wasn't enough to take on Thanos, as even with all of that power, the best Iron Man could manage was a small scratch on the Mad Titan's face.
All that for a drop of blood.
We're getting into some Endgame spoilers now, so time to click away if you haven't seen it yet and come back later. After returning to Earth post-snap, Tony gives up on the superhero lifestyle and settles down with Pepper and their newborn daughter Morgan. However, over the next 5 years, he still keeps himself busy working on some new suits. He creates at least 35 iterations, although we don't see most of them at all, and it's only the Mark 85 we see in action. This suit seems to be very similar to the Mark 50, but we see the nanotech do things like deploy incredibly quickly, create an energy shield to protect him when the Hulk attempts to utilize the stones, and even do little things like create a pair of glasses that Tony utilized to X-ray crates when looking for the Tesseract. In battle, the suit seems to harness the full power of Tony's synthetic tesseract tech, aka his new arc reactor, by allowing him to absorb, conduit, and blast Thanos with energy imparted to him by Thor's lightning, as we'd previously seen in the original Avengers.
How about that?
Except coming from multiple sources in his suit. Most impressively though is that the suit could not only form a gauntlet to hold the Infinity Stones, but contain their power, long enough for Tony to administer his own snap and change the fate of the universe itself by destroying Thanos and his minions in one fell swoop. Or click. There is one more suit of armor that I would be remiss not to mention, and it's one used by Pepper Potts for the final showdown in Endgame. This, of course, is not the first time Pepper has used a suit, however. This is the first time one was made specifically for her. It's unclear what exactly the suit's full capabilities are, as we only saw it in action briefly, but the comic book version was focused on defense and protection, with the idea being it could be used for search and, of course, rescue. It went as far as to have its thrusters generate no heat and have almost no offensive capabilities. However, this isn't the case in the movie, as we see Pepper kick a handful of ass herself. Perhaps we will see some Easter eggs in the future that indicate she's keeping her husband's memory alive by taking up the role of rescue and helping people in need, or maybe that mantle will go to Morgan. This is likely the end of the Iron Man suits, and although we might see Pepper continue to use one, or perhaps the introduction of a character like Ironheart, this is still the end of a magical era. So, which of Iron Man's suits was your favorite? Did you like the classic design of the earlier films, or the more refined and advanced creations seen in recent years? Make sure to let me know in the comments below.
Honestly, it's impossible.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave! With a box of scraps!
Well, I'm sorry. I'm not Tony Stark.